Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. Today we're taking a deep plunge into a concept that, well, everyone thinks they understand, but our sources suggest it's almost universally misunderstood. Discipline. When you first hear that word, what instantly comes to mind for you? Is it like rules, strictness, maybe that feeling of restriction, of losing your freedom? Well, get ready to maybe reframe that entire perception, because our mission today is to uncover a really profound, often counterintuitive truth. This deep dive will challenge pretty much everything you thought you knew about discipline. We're aiming to reveal it not as a prison, but actually as the ultimate key to unlocking genuine freedom, real success, and lasting happiness in your life.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because so many of us, for so long, we've been sort of conditioned to chase motivation, chase passion. We think those are the secret ingredients for achieving greatness. Yet, as our sources really detail, motivation and passion, they're often fleeting. They're like a bright spark, it can quickly fade. True, enduring greatness, the kind that really reshapes lives and leaves a lasting legacy, it relies on something much more foundational. So our aim today is to really dissect what discipline truly means, explore why it so often triggers these negative feelings, and show how it secretly underpins every single extraordinary success story you've ever heard of.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. That initial, almost visceral negative reaction people have. Most of us probably link discipline with something heavy, right?
Yeah.
Strict, maybe even suffocating. Often feels like punishment, doesn't it? Society frequently paints it that way. This rigid, joyless thing that takes away all the fun. It leads to those little arguments in your head like, oh, I shouldn't have that cookie, or I really need to get to bed earlier tonight. It's rarely framed as something, liberating.
And that's precisely where the big misconception lies, according to our source material. Discipline, they argue, it's far more than just a habit you force yourself into, or a set of rules someone else imposes. It's really a fundamental philosophy. It's a potent weapon, actually. One you wield against inertia, against distraction, those powerful forces. And critically, it's this ongoing battle against your own mind, against its nature, which is always seeking comfort. Think about the world's most successful people. Elite athletes, groundbreaking entrepreneurs, visionary artists. They don't operate just on a constant high of enthusiasm. They definitely don't wake up every single day feeling totally inspired.
Right. And that distinction you just made between motivation and discipline, that feels absolutely critical here. Motivation is that initial spark, isn't it? That burst of energy that makes you start something new, maybe a diet, a project, learning a skill. But as we've all experienced, it burns bright and then, well, more often than not,
just vanishes. Yeah.
Exactly. It disappears. But discipline, on the other hand, that's the consistent, unwavering force. It's the quiet engine, sort of, that keeps you moving forward day after day, long after that initial spark is completely gone. So if discipline isn't about crushing your spirit or just following rules, what is it really at its core? Our sources lay out these 6 powerful pillars that totally redefine it, giving a fresh perspective. Let's dive into the first one. Discipline is finding comfort in discomfort. Think about it for a moment. You've got a soldier slogging through the desert, 40 pounds of gear, an Olympic swimmer plunging into freezing water at 5 a.m. for practice, or maybe a student grinding through tough textbooks while their friends are out partying. What are these really different scenarios, these hard personal choices, what do they all have in common?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about a really fundamental human truth. We are all wired for comfort. Our brains are constantly, automatically seeking warmth, easy food, convenience, endless entertainment. It's just how we're built. But here's the really critical insight our sources emphasize. Comfort, when it's unchecked, is a silent killer of potential. Every single great achievement, literally without exception, demands that you voluntarily step into zones that feel uncomfortable, maybe painful, maybe even scary at first. It's just an unavoidable truth if you want growth, if you want mastery. And this isn't just about, gritting your teeth with willpower. The sources explain that repeated intentional exposure to discomfort actually starts to rewire your brain. Your neural pathways change. So what was once genuinely painful or felt like this huge sacrifice gradually becomes normal, even routine. That early gym session, those hours, studying something complex, even just waking up before the sun, they transform from feeling like torture into just accepted parts of your life. Maybe even things you look forward to in a way. So discipline, seen like this, isn't self-punishment at all. It's actually a profound form of brain training. The more you lean into that discomfort, the stronger your mental resilience gets. And ultimately, the freer you become to go after your big goals.
It really is like building a muscle, isn't it? That mental muscle. Seeing discomfort not as the enemy, but as the path. And this idea of pushing through even when you don't want to, it ties right into the next key insight. Discipline is action without motivation. I think this one really tackles what you could call the greatest myth society sells us. which is that you should wait until you feel motivated before you act. I mean, how much time do we all collectively waste every single day just waiting to feel like it before tackling that tough email or going for that run or starting that important project?
Oh, it's a huge and pervasive trap. Yeah. As we said, motivation is just a spark. It lights up bright, gives you that initial boost, but it always fades. Always. If you let yourself wait for that spark to be constantly there, well, you're going to spend a massive chunk of your life just waiting and very little of it actually doing. True discipline, in its purest, most effective form, is about taking action even when there's no motivation. Zero. It means getting out of bed when your body is just screaming for more sleep. It means pushing through your work when your heart really wants to quit. It's about keeping that consistency, that commitment, even when your emotions are all over the place or your passion has dipped. Our sources give some really powerful examples. Think about surgeons performing life-saving operations or parents caring for a crying baby at 3 a.m. They don't wait to feel motivated. They act because it's required, because the commitment was made. Greatness doesn't just sit around waiting for inspiration to show up. It acts relentlessly, with or without it. And this difference is exactly why, ordinary people often stay stuck in that cycle of inaction and regret, while disciplined individuals, they consistently rise above. A disciplined person that does it anyway, regardless of how they feel right then.
Does it anyway. That's a really strong way to put it. The difference between action and just waiting for the feeling. And the third pillar, this one really hits home for a lot of us, I think. Discipline is putting your future self first. This is where I'd like to ask you, our listener, a really powerful question. Just imagine your future self, say 5, maybe 10 years from now, walking into the room right now. If they could see how you're living today right now, what would their reaction be? Would they walk over and thank you for the choices, the hard work, the sacrifices you're making? Or would they look at you with regret, maybe even anger, for your current laziness, your short-term thinking? It's a tough one.
It is. And this concept, as the source material explores it, defines discipline as this profound art, the art of sacrificing the immediate present pleasure for the sake of a future, much bigger reward. It's not just a trade-off. It's like a strategic investment in yourself. It's the conscious choice to say no to that tempting donut today, knowing your body, your energy, your long-term health will thank you tomorrow. It's about diving into your studies or your craft today, understanding that it's meticulously paving the way for a flourishing career or a deeply satisfying skill later on. It's about diligently saving money now, specifically to avoid hardship and create options down the road. And here's a critical, maybe slightly sobering observation from the sources. Most people, sadly, routinely trade their vibrant, potential-filled future for these tiny, fleeting bursts of present comfort. They eat the junk food, they put off crucial tasks, they waste precious time, scroll endlessly on social media, even though deep down, they know these habits are actively damaging their chances for a better tomorrow. Disciplined people, though, they operate on a totally different timeline. They really do think in decades, not minutes. They always keep an eye on the long game, making choices that align with who they want to become, their highest future self.
Think in decades, not minutes. Wow, it's such a different frame. It completely changes how you look at daily choices, doesn't it? And that leads perfectly into our fourth pillar. Discipline is common work done with uncommon consistency. We often assume that greatness is about doing these huge, extraordinary things, stuff nobody else can even imagine doing. But what if it's actually much simpler than that, yet paradoxically much harder in practice?
Well, the truth, as our source material powerfully reveals, is that greatness usually isn't about performing these spectacular, unheard of feats at all. It's about doing ordinary things, often mundane things, maybe even boring things, but doing them with this uncommon, almost relentless consistency, and for an extraordinarily long time. Consider the examples they give. Writing just 500 words a day. Seems small, right? But over time, that can absolutely transform into a best-selling book. Running 2 miles a day, consistently, day after day, that can eventually prepare you for a marathon. Practicing the piano for just 1 hour a day. It seems manageable, but do that for years, and it can lead to concert-level mastery. Consistency, really, it emerges as a kind of superpower. Most people tragically give up after a few weeks, sometimes even just days. That initial motivation spark fades, and they just stop. They start strong, full of excitement, good intentions, but then quit when the novelty wears off. The disciplined individual, though, they keep going, day after day, through good times, bad times, successes, failures. And this is exactly why sustained discipline often beats raw talent. Why consistent, deliberate action, even if it looks kind of mediocre at first, often triumphs over inconsistent, brilliant flashes.
That's a really profound thought. Consistency beating talent. It makes you totally rethink what success actually requires in the long run. Okay, now for our fifth pillar. Discipline is 10,000 hours of monotony for one moment of glory. We live in a society that is just absolutely addicted to instant gratification, right? We want the six-pack abs in 30 days, the overnight success story, wealth generated in like a few months. We expect immediate results, often skipping the whole process part.
And the reality, our sources firmly push back, it just doesn't work like that. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how real significant achievement actually happens. Behind every Olympic gold medal, invariably there are years of lonely, grueling training, often unseen, unapplauded by anyone. Behind every billion-dollar company, there are years of calculated risks, huge personal sacrifices, countless rejections, relentless problem-solving, just grinding it out. Behind every artistic masterpiece, you'll find thousands of failed drafts, endless revisions, untold hours of just invisible, unglamorous effort. Discipline, in this sense, is the willingness to do the same thing over and over and over again, long after any initial excitement has totally vanished. It's about pouring thousands of hours into boring, repetitive, often unglamorous work, the kind of work nobody celebrates, nobody even notices until maybe much, much later. But here's the really profound part. This persistent, seemingly endless monotony. Eventually, almost inevitably, it leads to a single, explosive moment of glory. And that moment, even if it only lasts for seconds, is often enough to genuinely change the world. Or at the very least, profoundly change the world of the person who achieved it.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? Those few seconds of glory, bought and paid for by thousands of hours of quiet, often tedious work. And this leads us perfectly to our final pillar, which really brings it all home. Discipline isn't a trait. It's a choice. So what does this ultimately mean for us? For you listening, many people believe discipline is just something you're either born with or without, right? Like it's a genetic lottery, you either won or you lost.
No, that belief, according to our sources, is a really fundamental and limiting misunderstanding. Discipline is absolutely not encoded in your DNA. It's not a trait. It is purely and simply a continuous series of moment-by-moment choices that you make. Every single morning, for instance, you face a decision, hit the snooze button, grab another few minutes of fleeting comfort, or rise and purposefully start your day. At every meal, you choose again. Prioritize your long-term health and wellness, or indulge in something that might derail your goals right now. Every evening, you decide. Pursue progress on your important objectives, or just give in to distraction and passive entertainment. Discipline is less about who you are inherently, your natural tendencies or talents, and much, much more about what you actively choose to do repeatedly. In each passing moment, each small choice you make creates the subtle but powerful chain reaction. And over time, these accumulated choices, they literally define your entire destiny. The critical reality that emerges, maybe the tough truth, is that people often sabotage their own lives daily, not because they lack talent or intelligence or even luck, but because they repeatedly, consistently choose immediate comfort over the long-term, profound rewards of discipline.
Wow. That is a tough but incredibly important truth to face. But here's the beautiful paradox. The hidden reward that our sources really highlight, which completely flips our initial idea on its head. The more disciplined you are, the freer you become. It almost sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? That more rules, more structure, more commitment would somehow lead to more freedom. How does that work?
It's a profound insight, yeah. And it's the ultimate payoff. Let's break down the different kinds of freedom that discipline directly unlocks. Financial discipline, for example, that's what creates true freedom from the burden of debt, freedom from the constant worry about money, and it opens up choices for your future you wouldn't have otherwise. Physical discipline, consistently applied healthy habits builds freedom from illness, from weakness. It allows your body to actually serve your ambitions rather than hold you back. Mental discipline, that cultivated ability to focus, to control your thoughts. That creates freedom from paralyzing anxiety, freedom from the chaos of an unfocused mind, freedom from the tyranny of external distractions pulling you everywhere. And work discipline, that consistent, diligent effort in your craft or job, creates freedom from the crushing weight of mediocrity and freedom from the bitter taste of regret later on. Now, contrast that sharply with undisciplined people. They often live like prisoners, even if they don't see it that way. They're essentially slaves to their own impulses, their addictions, their deep-seated laziness and procrastination. Their choices, or maybe, more accurately, their lack of conscious choices, bind them to a smaller, less fulfilling life. Disciplined people, on the other hand, they actively build lives where they are empowered to walk freely directly toward their most cherished dreams, unburdened by the very things that hold others captive. They are, in effect, the architects of their own liberation.
That's such a powerful distinction, being a prisoner of your impulses or becoming a free agent chasing your dreams. It completely flips the script on what discipline is and what it does for us. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's maybe summarize the core idea we've uncovered today. Discipline. Well, It isn't glamorous. You won't see it making headlines. It rarely gives you those instant feel-good rewards. But it is, without a doubt, the invisible fundamental force that quietly separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, the true achievers from those who just end up regretting what could have been.
Absolutely. And our sources leave us with a really clear, compelling call to action. Stop waiting for motivation to magically appear. Stop reflexively chasing after every fleeting comfort that pops up. And stop worshiping talent as the only thing that matters, because talent without discipline, it often just stagnates, it goes nowhere. Instead, the message is truly embrace discipline, integrate it consciously into your life, because in the end, it's the only thing, really, the only thing that consistently builds greatness that actually lasts.
So as we finish up, maybe just consider the quiet, constant force of discipline playing out in your own life, whether you embrace it consciously or it's just passively absent. It is shaping your path right now, every moment. The enduring insight, perhaps the shocking truth, as our outline put it, is that your entire life is being shaped by discipline right now, either the lack of it or the presence of it. The question really is, will you control it or will it control you?